Pokemon Champions has been released for a week now, and at this particular point, people have been asking the question, is this game a pay-to-win type of platform? With this game, it is in fact free to start. However, you can make purchases throughout the game. So that is going to be for the battle pass, and that will also be for being in the battle season. You also have an option for paying for a starter package. With everything combined, things can come up to close to $60 to $70 just at the very beginning of the game. And including with the seasonal battle passes, that means you're going to be paying roughly $10 every single season, which means in the end, this game, like I said in a previous video, this game is going to in fact be the most expensive Pokemon video game that we have ever had. But that still leaves one big question. Are you required to pay to play this game if you want to win, inadvertently making it a pay-to-win game? Or is this actually going to be something that everyone can play starting off together and therefore making those starter packages optional? Now, before I give you my thought, let's go ahead and hop on a few topics and we can be on a consensus together. Then we can make a decision. But before we do, make sure you're leaving a like, sharing, and subscribing, turning on those notifications so you can be notified when the next video goes live. Also, make sure you're following me on the other social media platform. That includes Instagram as well as Facebook. And make sure as well, if you are wanting to learn about working out, I also have a second channel at the Raikazi Lifts YouTube page where I talk about different ways how you can incorporate exercise into your daily life, especially if you are having a busy routine schedule. That way you can also continue to enjoy your gaming while maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So we're going to hit on a few topics pretty quick here as we're diving into Pokemon Champions. First and foremost, we want to talk about the accessibility of the Pokemon. On a daily routine, you can get a new roulette of Pokemon where they'll give you a list of about 10 Pokemon and you can choose which Pokemon you want to select to add to your team. And with that Pokemon, you can choose to only rent them for about 7 days, or you can actually recruit them permanently, which means it's almost like capturing the Pokemon because you're just gifted that Pokemon. So with that being said, it is, yes, a roulette, so you don't know what you're going to get, but at the same time, you still have access to, I'm going to say, probably all the Pokemon. To my knowledge, I have not seen anyone run a roulette and get a shiny Pokemon. So right now, there's no information as to whether or not you can shiny hunt on this roulette. But still, nonetheless, unless it's probably, let's say, for example, AZ's Floette or some other big wig Pokemon, you have access to basically every Pokemon that's in the current regulation, but it is just going to be based on chance whether or not that Pokemon is going to be on that roster. The one thing about it is if you were to rent the Pokemon, you cannot change its stats. But if you do recruit the Pokemon and keep it forever, you are then free to change its stats. Now, that also then translates into VP. You earn VP by playing battles, and if you obtain the VP points by playing some matches, win or lose, then you can change those stats. Which means if you are able to practice online, let's say free Pokemon Showdown, and then have that access to the Pokemon, then you are able to then change its stats if you did in fact recruit it permanently. So access to Pokemon, you have them, it's just as a roulette if you did not pay to have access to more boxes. But now that actually goes into our next topic. The boxes. I will say I have a major gripe with the Pokemon Champions box organization. There doesn't seem to be a way you can organize your boxes at your own will. For example, I like to organize my boxes by my Pokemon's type. So currently, I only brought over a few Pokemon, but it does not seem I can even rearrange that single first box of my Pokemon, which really frustrates me because I prefer to be able to see my Pokemon in a very certain way, but that's my OCD mind. So I hope maybe in a future update that will be something that they change. However, as of right now, we are subject to using the filter option that is available, and we just try to find our Pokemon in that regard. So then the big question then goes into how many Pokemon do you really need? Do you need a set of 6, 12, 18, whatever amount of Pokemon? That is still up in the air. It just depends on how many Pokemon you want to use at the same time. However, if you are transferring your Pokemon back and forth between Pokemon Home and you have some space and you can just adjust which Pokemon you have inside of your Pokemon Champions. Is that an extra step? Yes, but is it something that you can do? Also, yes. So we can go ahead and say accessibility with the number of Pokemon that you have available in the boxes. We can say that is kind of a toss-up because yes, you can pay for more space, but at the same time, you don't really need to. And also, if you rank up, you are able to then earn more box spaces. So that is also something that is wonderful inside of the game, as you can earn those spaces instead of having to pay for more spaces. So that is also another option. And last but not least, let's talk about the items. They are giving us a number of download codes for different Mega Evolution Stones. And for the start of the season, there are some other Mega Evolution Stones that you can get for certain Pokemon. You can earn these items, you can buy these items by the VP that you earn from different matches. So there are a number of ways that you can obtain different items inside of the game, especially if you're wanting to Mega Evolve certain Pokemon. But at the same time, the number of items that are available in the game period at this moment is very limited. So for example, people are running the Aerodactyl right now because it has the unnervability, because most of the items are in fact going to be berries, and if Pokemon can't use their berries, then it kind of shuts down their entire team because it's only berries available. Except for, of course, Mega Evolution Stones. So you're seeing a lot of teams with multiple Mega Evolution Pokemon on that same team. So with that being said, the items are not as important right now, but it also places everyone on kind of the same playing field. So if you don't have access to, for example, a Rocky Helmet, don't worry about it because it's not even in the game right now. If there are any super niche items, you have time to get it by just playing some matches and earning VP over time, and then you just rack up the points and you can go to the shop and purchase those items. So all in all, currently the items are very few and honestly very obtainable. So as of right now, is this game considered a free to start? Yes. Is it a pay to win? Still, that is going to be kind of a toss up, because if you are wanting to, for example, run the Mega Floette strategy, there is no current way that you're going to get the AZ Floette inside of Pokemon Champions. You need to transfer that Pokemon from Legends ZA. Now, in order for you to do that, you have to have already purchased Pokemon Legends ZA, and then you have completed that game. So you have to go through that long game, and then even in the post game, until you can obtain that Pokemon and then transfer it through Pokemon Home. And therefore, you have to also have that Pokemon Home subscription, so you can then transfer that Pokemon into Pokemon Champions. So is that going to be a pay to win? No. But is it a pay to use to get specific things? Then yes. In that way, we would say, yes, you do have to pay in order for you to use certain features, but that is in fact part of it. I've seen some posts out there of people complaining, saying that people should not be allowed to use the AZ Floette because not everyone has access to it. And people would say, hey, this game has been out for a while, and if you haven't bought it yet or even played it at this particular point and you don't have the Pokemon Home, as that's been out for many years, well, then that's on you at this particular point. And if you want it, then you still have time to go ahead and just get Legends ZA and play through the game. So it's just something that is in fact available. So would I say that Pokemon Champions currently is a pay to win? I would honestly say no. I don't believe it is. As of right now, due to the limited Pokedex and with the limited number of items, kind of allowing everyone to start off on the same level. And honestly, the games have actually been challenging. The teams that they give you, then you run through, I feel some of these opponents were bots, but then later on, the strategies have gotten more difficult, and going against certain opponents, then I just struggle to get out of certain rankings. And I tell myself, okay, I just need to transfer in some of my Pokemon. And unfortunately for some people, if you don't have the previous games or you don't have access to a bunch of Pokemon, then yes, that's going to be more difficult for you. However, if you can find those Pokemon on the roster, because I don't want to use the Pokemon on the roster, I actually want to use the Pokemon that I've already trained. That's just me. That's just preference. A preference is not a required pay to win. A preference is just a preference. So yes, I could have used the roulette every single day and just selected a Pokemon and just continue to build a team and change the stats with VP, but I just choose not to, and that's up to you as well. So with that being said, I do not believe that Pokemon Champions is in fact a pay to win, and I do believe that it is a excellent fresh start for us. And the first tournament in Indianapolis is going to be a massive one. I know there's going to be quite a few bugs that we're going to have to deal with at that tournament, and if you are in fact going there, make sure you leave in a comment below and let me know. And if you see me there, of course, go ahead, say hi. I'll be more than likely wearing a Raichu shirt that says Raikaze11 on the back because, as we already know, I want you all to go ahead and leaving those likes, sharing, subscribing, following, doing all those things here on this platform, growing our community as we're continuing to build on this platform. But at this moment in time, that's all I have for you today. And this is going to be the Raikaze signing off. You all know what to do. You stay strong and you power on. Now, if you excuse me, I need to go and finish Legend ZA. Oh boy.